Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back. Today I'm going to give you a complete crash course on Shopify Analytics for 2025, right? Because Shopify recently updated the way you can modify and essentially um, have the analytics show pretty much in any way that you want, right? So as a beginner, you might be kind of completely new to analytics or Shopify Analytics. But if you are sort of a advanced Shopify user, you might stick around if you want to maybe learn a couple of more things that you might have not known. But again, this course or video will be mainly aimed at beginners, right? So if you're just starting out with Shopify, you're starting to get your first sales and you're kind of trying to figure out, the sense out of the numbers, how to scale your brand and how to scale your business, and essentially how to paint a story with all of the data that you're getting, right? So then this video is definitely for you because you're going to learn everything from A to Z that you need to know in Shopify within Shopify Analytics, right? So if that sounds good, and if that's something you want to learn, let's go ahead and dive into it right away. And guys, on a side note, I will be providing a sort of a free guide or PDF guide for absolutely free, where I will kind of touch on everything that we discussed today, so you can kind of have it as your personal, your personal guide that you can kind of look back to if you have any questions. But again, if you have any specific questions, always feel free to leave a comment below the video and I'll definitely get back to you, right? So let's go ahead and dive into Shopify Analytics in 2025 right away. Cool. So obviously you have a Shopify account, I assume. If you do, if you want to start with Shopify Analytics, the first thing you need to do, you need to go to Analytics right here, right? So if you are on the homepage or on the main dashboard, all you really do, just go to Analytics right here and you're gonna see something like this, okay? So it might be custom if you played around with it, so you might not see the same things, don't worry. I'm gonna show you how you can customize, drag and drop things and gonna make them tailored to whatever your preferences, right? So let's start, guys. All right, so these are default ones, really like out of the box. We have kind of the main KPIs and metrics. And again, in when we're dealing with analytics, when we say something like KPIs, we are referring to those as key performance indicators, right? So you probably heard KPIs here and there. So essentially, what it means, essentially, those are key performance indicators, or sort of a, the key performance data points that you want to be looking at for your Shopify store, right? So all these ones are essentially sort of KPIs. You saw the gross sales, returning customer rates, orders fulfilled, total sales. So each of these boxes is a KPI of its own, right? So out of the box, we have all these default ones, right? So the total sales, again, I don't have any sales because this is a demo store. My goal here is to educate you guys about the analytics, not really talk about how to drive sales to your Shopify store. But if you want to learn, again, check out our YouTube video because we have a bunch of videos on Facebook ads, Google ads, how to get your first sale on Shopify and stuff like that. So this is not today's focus. Today we're focusing solely on learning Shopify Analytics. Okay, so let's move on. Cool. So these are essentially the basics. Okay, we have the conversion rates, sessions over time, pretty much all that you would need to have out of the box to start kind of learning what's happening in your store, where's traffic coming from, your average order value and all that cool stuff, right? So if you want to customize, it's pretty easy. You probably figured. So if you look on the right corner side, you have a little button that says customize, just click on it and you're gonna have all these options right here. Okay, so it might be overwhelming, but don't worry, because in a sense you don't need to have all of these added to your dashboard because all of them don't make a lot of sense for the specific journey that you're in. Okay, so e-commerce has different parts of the journey. Where you're just at the beginning, getting your first sale, growing and scaling. So each of those journeys are kind of coming with their own metrics, right? So if you see these ones, you're like, which ones I should be adding? Don't think about it too much. Okay, as you go, you will kind of figure out which ones you need. But if you have any specific questions about your Shopify store or specific case scenario, let me know in the comments. And again, I'll get back to you and I'll help you out. So again, to add a custom metric, okay, so you can just essentially take it and drag and drop right here. So everything is breaking down in the categories, right? So if you kind of look carefully, here we have acquisition, and acquisition essentially means, like how you are acquiring your customers. Behavior, again, these are like the behaviors, in a sense, like how are users interacting or behaving on your website. Okay, so these are common ones: bounce rate, conversion rates, customer behavior, overall product recommendations. Okay, so these are very common, metrics, if you ever worked with GA4 or Google Analytics, there's a lot of similarities in here. But if you're a complete beginner, again, essentially behavior is how users are behaving or acting. What are you doing on your website, essentially, right? So something like bounce rate, for example, means how long the user stays on your Shopify store before leaving the store. So this essentially would indicate that if the user lands on your Shopify product page or collection page, whatever homepage, and they drop off or leave your store within the 10 seconds or less, okay, then you probably have a problem, in a sense that, okay, the offer is not good, or maybe the Shopify store never loaded because you have a poorly optimized Shopify team, or because if you're driving traffic from Facebook ads, maybe whatever the promise or messaging you had on your Facebook ads didn't match on whatever they saw on your Shopify store. So again, expectations and offers, right? So I'm not gonna be diving into each individual metric today because that would take us hours. I'm giving you sort of a crash course, and I'm gonna explain you like the core KPIs that you should be aware of and kind of know what they mean, right? So bounce rate is one of them, right? So then we have checkout conversion rate, like over time, meaning like what's your checkout conversion rate over time, over like specific period of time, for example. Then we have product recommendations. Okay, essentially, if you have Shopify store and you have these carousel or sliders that says you might like this product or recommend it for you. So essentially, it tells you a conversion rate for those carousel sections, right? For product recommendations. Then you have searches by search query, meaning like what people are searching on in your Shopify store. So when they use a search bar, okay, so it's going to kind of tell you the behavior, what they're searching for, the most or the least, and stuff like that, right? Then we have essentially, shop campaign. I'm not going to cover that because shop essentially is the, I believe that's the Shopify shop app. Okay, so we're not going to be covering that. Then customers by location, that's an important one. But again, I'm sure you're going to figure out what it is. New customers, that's what it is. New customers, like in a sense, like what are your sales based on the new customers? Okay, so when you have Shopify store, you have new customers and returning customers. Okay, and there's a difference in a sense, like if your store is getting a lot of new customers but not a lot of returning customers, then you have a retention problem. Okay, or people are not really happy with the product, or it just felt like a one-time product. So again, kind of goes under the umbrella of retention. So if people are buying once and never coming back, you have a retention problem. If you have a lot of returning customers, then you have good retention, good product, and people are loyal, and you're building a loyal customer base. But the best one is kind of when you are kind of 50-50 on a hybrid, right? So you have a good chunk of new customers and good chunk of returning customers. Okay, and returning customers can be achieved by a lot of things like loyalty programs, better retentions, email campaigns. And again, this whole strategy, again, not going to be touching that too much because I'm kind of going again too much on a different topic. So let's go back to the analytics. All right, cool. So again, I'm not going to explain each of the KPIs here because again, there's a lot of them. So let's go back to the topic, how you actually customize and drag and drop things on here. So for example, what I think bounce rate would be kind of a cool thing to have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the bounce rate. I'm just going to kind of drag it in here. Let's say I want to put it in here, and just like that, we have it in our dashboard. Okay, and once done, just click save, and now you added your first custom KPI. Congrats, guys. All right, so pretty easy and pretty cool, right? So now every time I go onto my Analytics Shopify dashboard, I can see right away what's my current bounce rate. Okay, so I don't need to go to J4 or Google Analytics to kind of see what's my bounce rate there, how much people are spending time on the website, so I can kind of see everything right on the spot in my Analytics in Shopify. That's pretty awesome. So in the same way, you would be adding any other, any other KPI, or if you want to change it, you can, for example, like, I don't know, let's say, I want to see the conversion rate kind of up here because that's kind of one of the important things. I'm going to just drop it here and move it like this, and then you click save, and essentially that's how you did it, right? So again, pretty easy. I highly encourage you guys to modify this dashboard in a way that it speaks to you. Okay, you don't want to go to dashboard and kind of say like, what's happening here? I don't understand anything. So first start with the metrics that you do understand, push them up to the top, and kind of once you're comfortable, add more metrics, move them around. So kind of make it your home for your Shopify's data. Okay, so you need to be super comfortable with the stuff. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand what's happening in Shopify store, and it will be very hard to scale and grow your business if you don't know your numbers, right? All right, but what about if you want to create something custom? Okay, so if you want to create your own custom dashboard, you can do it. All right, so what you need to do for that, you're gonna go to reports right here. So under analytics, there's a reports menu. Click on it like this. Okay, and now you have all these ones right here, right? So you can choose any of these ones. For example, sessions by refer. What this means is essentially like who is referring the traffic to you. Okay, usually as like Facebook, TikTok. So here it's a good example. The refer is a Debutify, okay, because a lot of people are coming off through our demo store. So let me just show you quickly so you kind of paint the picture in your head. So the big chunk of traffic is coming from Debutify, and that's this website right here. So when people go on a demo, there are these demo stores, and when they click on it, they're going to be taken to a demo store, which is the one we're looking at right here. Okay, and essentially the referrer or whoever is referring the traffic, that's essentially what it means in here. Okay, if it's going to be Facebook, it's going to say Facebook. If it's Google Ads, it's going to say either Google Ads or CPC and etc. Okay, so if it's unknown, it's one of the biggest mysteries in marketing. I've been in marketing for 6 years, and it's always this weird question mark: what is unknown? And unknown essentially is when somebody just kind of takes your URL and copy paste it directly into the URL bar, or when they save it to the bookmark, or simply when they just go like this, and then you have this autocomplete. I'm going to start typing debut, and I have auto completed the address, and now this is an unknown because it's not really coming from anywhere. You know what I mean? So, or if you're like really hardcore cookie blockers and like privacy settings enabled and using like third-party stuff to do that, that also might be flagged as unknown because Shopify cannot distinguish the traffic source. Okay, so if you see a lot of unknown, don't worry about it. That's really one of the biggest mysteries in the e-commerce world for Shopify merchants and for any online merchant. The unknown traffic source is always really kind of the big question mark. Okay, there's nothing wrong with your Shopify store. Cool, and also you're gonna get obviously the location. Okay, like the state or the country, and then you have also kind of the breakdown in a format of a table, right? So and for example, if you want to add custom sort of metrics, okay, or dimensions, okay, so if you ever worked with again Google Analytics or with data visualization like Looker, okay, you're going to be feeling like at home because this is much easier. But if not, again, you can add custom metrics here. So online store visits or sessions, okay, you can kind of switch it. So right now we are sessions, you see here, so it's matching sessions. You can switch to online store visits, okay, or if you want to add a custom metric for the sessions, okay, or whatever, here you can add something else. Okay, so now it's breaking down into sessions or online store sessions, so it's kind of organized in a way. But I don't know, let's say for some reason I want to add let's see what we have here. Well, page views is pretty cool, so we want to know also the page views. Okay, so how many times users have viewed like all of the store pages. Okay, so I'm going to click on apply, and now I also have page views. Okay, so I have essentially online store, visitor, sessions, and page views. And you're going to see something right here which is called Shopify QL. If you are a data analyst, or if you have experience with data analysis, or you worked with stuff like BigQuery or SQL, okay, so this can be very familiar. Okay, but again, we're not going to be covering today how to create custom queries in Shopify QL. But if you're kind of into that, more techie, you can go ahead and essentially create your own SQL or whatever Shopify queries to get custom data and really completely custom Shopify metrics. So go ahead and do it if you want to, but again, I'm not covering that today, and I don't really use that in my day-to-day, right? That's more of a task delegated to data analysts in most of the cases. But if you really want to play around without being a data analyst or having any background in data, just go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to create a custom Shopify QL query for you for whatever the data you're trying to retrieve from the Shopify, okay? And Shopify will give it to you and copy paste it here, and you will be good to go. Cool. Then we have dimensions, okay? And dimensions are essentially these ones right here, if you look on the right side. And if you ask me, like, where exactly are the dimensions, how I can see them? So if you look at the if you look at this right here, right? So we have selected, for example, sessions, and for dimensions, we have refer name and session city. So if you look at this one, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm kind of hovering with my mouse. We have sort of a direct, none, and council buffs. Okay, so that's state in states. So again, the refer source, the first one is direct. Okay, that's the refer source. Refer name is none. Okay, so whoever is referring doesn't have a name, it's just a direct. Again, copy paste it or bookmark. And session city is council buffs. Okay, so those are essentially dimensions. Okay, so think of it in a sense like we have a parent metric, which is sessions, and dimensions are sort of like a little children under the parent metric or session, and they are essentially called either like a first source or for name, or you can add whichever you select from here. Okay, so let me see what options we have here. So we have city. Let's see what could also make sense. Maybe let's do also a medium. Okay, let's do that as well. So add it here, and we don't have any mediums. Okay, so I've added here. You can see it's all none, none, none. So we don't have any refers. For the mediums, let's do something that we probably have data for. So let's see, what do we have here? Maybe dates. Customer added dates. We don't really have any customers. Let's do a day. Okay, let's do that. That should work. And there you go, guys. You can see the date got added. So the dimension just got added right after the location. And I can see the date when this happened. Okay. And then if you want to have this if you want to add this now to your dashboard where we came from originally, all you're going to do, you're going to save as, and then we're just going to rename it to something like as for plus day. Okay. Save a copy. Now back to analytics, customize, and then I'll just do something like this, plus day, and here it is. And I can now drag and drop it and add this new session I just created, all right? And that's as easy as it is, and then click save, and you are pretty much good to go. I just kind of messed it up. There's like a bunch of empty space. Let me just fix that. It looks kind of weird. Okay, there you go. This looks much more compact and cleaner. Awesome. Cool. So that's for that. So let's say you have somebody, or I don't know, you hired somebody. Okay, let me just reframe it. Okay, so your Shopify store is running, it's being successful, you're making sales, you're getting a lot of good chunk of money, making revenue, brand is growing. So now it's time to hire, or maybe just have a contract for somebody to kind of analyze your data. So let's say you decided to hire a Shopify data analyst that will analyze your Shopify store's data and give you kind of suggestions where you can grow or maybe fix things. Okay, so now you need to export the data, right? So the way you're going to do it, there are a couple of ways. So either you could do it specifically. So for example, I want to I don't know, bounce rate over time. Okay, I want to understand like why people are bouncing or like leaving the website too early or prematurely. So I want to include that also to give to my data analyst, for example. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on these three dots right here and click on export. And here you can essentially choose the format how you want to export this. Okay, so the most common one that your data analysts or in general people who work with data, they will ask for a CSV, because CSV is kind of a very flat format that works with all the data analysis platforms and applications that I use. So usually it's going to be something like CSV. Okay, so if you export that and you open that CSV, for you it's going to look like gibberish. Or maybe if you're good with spreadsheets and you're kind of into that, you might see some useful stuff. I'm trying to, okay, it didn't really work. So let me just open it in my Google spreadsheets, guys. Hold on. All right, there you go. So it's going to look essentially something like this. Okay, so it's a raw data of whatever you saw here in Shopify, right? So whatever is happening in here, we're just kind of exporting that into CSV. So day bounce rate, previous date for like a period of the previous day. and then the bounce rates here, right? So again, it's a really raw data, unless you want to analyze your own data, or you're building something custom, or you want to feed it maybe to your, I don't know if you're using ChatGPT or Claude to kind of give it the data and kind of ask questions about the Shopify store, or if you're going to be giving to actual person who will analyze the data for you and help you with the Shopify store. Okay, so this kind of are the case scenarios, the most common ones, but that's how you essentially export data from your Shopify Analytics. Okay, and you can build your own if you want to. For example, here, just click on the new exploration. I went from here and click on new exploration, and you can essentially build your own. So for the metrics, let's say we'll do something like average order value. Okay, so that's kind of main one. I'll plug it in here. There is none. Okay, because we don't have any orders. Okay, so let's say you have some orders. You can have some metrics in here. So that's cool. So now, let's say I also want to have at the cart rate. Okay, what's the rate of people adding products to at the cart? Okay, what else? What else? The way I want to see it, let's do, for example, let's add some dimensions because we need those to see any charts. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So let's do like day, maybe month, quarter, and a year. Okay, what else? Abandoned checkout date. I don't need that. And let's just apply these ones for now. Okay, cool. So now we're getting sort of a nice charts, or you can do a line if you want to. I think it's the same thing. Let's say we want a donut. Okay, so kind of the same thing here. You can choose a donut if you want to, but in my case, I'll just leave it to a line. Let's see. Now I'm going to change to at the cart. Okay, so again, if I switch to at the cart, I'm going to see the at the cart over a period of time. And here it's going to give me all the dimensions, or also I can see them here. So dimensions are essentially the dates and the months. So I can see kind of how is my at the cart rate throughout the months, to the quarter, or through the year. Okay, so again, pretty useful, kind of gives you a quick bird's view on your at the cart rates. Okay, so now that we added a couple more custom metrics, all right, so we have average order value. We don't have any because we don't have any orders, obviously. Added to cart rate. Okay, this is pretty cool. So here, you're just kind of getting a bird's view eye on your at the cart here, which is pretty cool. So if I kind of scroll down here, I'm going to see my at the carts sort of broken down into months, quarters, and years. So it's a really cool way to kind of quickly glance over your at the cart rates to kind of understand where you stand. Okay, like, am I doing good? Are people adding my stuff to at the cart? If not, then I probably should be working on. And again, if you have more questions, you can export again this entire thing as CSV and give it to Claude and ask Claude to analyze data and kind of give you suggestions for your overall Shopify, status in terms of the data metrics. Okay, or even if you're working with a data analyst or hiring somebody on Upwork and Fiverr, you essentially can create these type of custom reports and give it to them. Find some Shopify data experts, and they're gonna kind of help you out to figure out where are the leaks, or what should be fixed in terms of data and pipeline in your Shopify store, right? So and you can add different metrics. Again, I don't have any AV or average order value because it's a demo store. Nobody reached checkout because nobody reached checkout because it's a demo store. Obviously, we can add something else. Let's add our bounce rates, okay, because we have traffic. So let me switch to bounce rate, and now I can kind of see the bounce rate over time, right? So I can kind of see it was like lower, then it was a little bit higher, so it spiked. So it gives you an idea of, for example, your bounce rate was low, meaning that people were sticking around, and suddenly it's high, you change something, and you kind of see, okay, so here it was kind of a high, so let me kind of backtrack and see what did I do? Did I change something on a website? What was the change? Let me go back to my blogs, or if you're doing project management, or maybe Facebook ads, Google ads, and kind of go backwards and try to analyze and figure out why suddenly you have a spike in a bounce rate and people are bouncing off your website. Okay, so again, all this can be achieved with custom reports. Whatever questions you have about Shopify store, you will definitely find them in these metrics in here. All right, and that's essentially, guys, it. Pretty much that sums it up. This is a sort of crash course in Shopify Analytics. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, always like and subscribe and enable notifications because I'm dropping these videos always are free, and I'm always trying to give some free PDFs and essentially kind of how-to guides for you guys to keep and kind of look back to it when you need help. But again, if you actually need help, just again, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you 100%, right? And you guys already know, as always, I'm gonna see you next time. And if you have any suggestions for content, again, make sure to leave down a comment and let me know what you want me to cover, and I'm gonna do it. See you.